All right, so welcome to Coffee with Bob. Today we're going to discuss the Secure Act, and with me is Christina, certified financial planner, and been with the firm for 8 years, and my daughter.
Thank you. Happy to be here. So this is a pop-up episode of Coffee with Bob, much shorter than the episodes we usually bring to you every other Wednesday, but we still have our cup of coffee that we're enjoying, water for Bob, and let's get into it.
So the Secure Act has been in place for about a year, and it's all about the individual saving for retirement, the retiree, the person that's pre-retired, and it's all about helping them be more financially secure through the last phase of their life.
Yeah, so there were components put in place as part of this act to help incentivize people, to help them get set up to be as prepared for retirement as possible. Now, we're not going to talk about all of those components today. We actually just picked out the 3 components that pertain to the most people we're seeing. So there's many, many more that you can look up, but here are the 3 that we're going to talk about today. So the first, increased required minimum distribution age. So under previous law, the age in which you had to, in which you turned 70 and a half, the year in which you turned 70 and a half was the first year that you had to start your RMDs. Well, under the Secure Act, that age has been increased to 72. That's for everyone who turned 70 and a half after December 31st of last year. Now, a really important aspect of the RMDs that has not changed is that if you'd like, you can still delay your RMDs within that first year. However, if you do so, you will be required to take 2 years of RMDs in that next following calendar year. Bob, do you want to talk about the next component?
Yep. So age caps for traditional IRA contributions. There were some limitations, but those have changed, and so you can make IRA contributions now, and as long as you have earned income, you can make you can have deductibility. So that's in a nutshell.
Yeah. Now, just because you can continue to make contributions doesn't necessarily mean that all contributions will be able to be deducted in terms of taxes. That's something that you're going to have to figure out with your advisor and your CPA. But past age 70 and a half now, as long as you have earned income, you can make an eligible contribution to your IRA, still subject to those annual maximums that the IRS specifies, and those maximums are sometimes increased year over year. Okay, stretch RMDs. So this was a provision that used to be able to be used by anyone inheriting a retirement account under previous law. Now, under the Secure Act, you can only use the stretch RMD provision if you are a spousal beneficiary or if you are considered an eligible designated beneficiary. That can mean several different things, including someone who is disabled or someone who is less than 10 years younger than the original retirement account owner. So another important thing to make sure that you're aware of is that this applies to Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks, as well as traditional retirement accounts. And the basic rule here is you've got to withdraw all the money within 10 years of the original owner's death. It doesn't mean you have to withdraw all the money at once. You can spread it out over that 10 years. And most of the time, that's usually the right thing to do for a traditional retirement account. Whereas perhaps in a Roth retirement account, it usually makes sense to delay that withdrawal from that retirement account until that last year to take advantage as much as possible of that tax deferred growth. So the type of retirement account and who that beneficiary is really going to determine the nature and the timing of those withdrawals. So we've seen a lot of planning strategies come about as a result of the Secure Act. We're going to talk about just a few of them here. Bob, do you want to speak to them?
So the most important thing is that we understand your unique goals, objectives, wishes, those kinds of things. Once we know those, then we can advise you on Roth conversions and how to set up your beneficiary designations. And quite frankly, we should have listed probably number 3, which would be how you're actually investing inside of your IRA accounts, because your outlook may be different because of these new Secure Act strategies. So we're there, we know what to do, and but the most important thing is we have a conversation again around your unique goals and objectives.
Yeah, and look, just because you have an IRA doesn't mean that you should definitely do a Roth conversion. It doesn't always make sense. And remember, converting to a Roth does not make that stretch provision under the new Secure Act go away. You would still be subject to that 10-year withdrawal rule. But the point of that Roth conversion is, if it makes sense, it could give you more control over the timing of paying the taxes on that retirement money. And it could also help you save money on that tax liability depending on the timing. With those beneficiary designations, take a look at them. If it's not a spousal beneficiary, maybe you want it to be one. If you don't want it to be a spousal beneficiary, or if it's just not, perhaps you can think about increasing the number of beneficiaries that are designated on that retirement account. When you do that, you're spreading that tax liability over more people, and therefore that tax liability per person is decreased to a certain extent in some circumstances. Okay, so we are first and foremost planners. We do all of the planning ahead of investing 1 cent of someone's money. So it's really important for us to talk about these couple of things, Secure Act or not. These are things that we want to make sure we get out there in terms of the things you need to think about with your IRA, not just when you first set it up, but as time goes by and as you continue to invest. So Bob, do you want to talk about these things?
So, yep. Again, these 4 issues should be discussed after we understand your unique goals and objectives. You've got a plan, whether you've articulated it on a piece of paper or whether it's just conversationally. We want to understand it, help you maybe understand what you want to accomplish, and the way we do that is through a conversation, and then we can talk about these 4 things. So optimizing your asset allocation, and that's simply, it's sort of like the lottery. You've got to play to win. So if you're playing in stocks, you're likely to have a higher rate of return. If you're playing in money markets, a lower rate of return, bonds somewhere in between. So, and then the mix of those assets can dictate your risk level, which we discuss in item number 4 here. And then a rebalance strategy is super, super important. That's how we add a lot of value to client accounts, is through a rebalance strategy. We're very disciplined there. And with the market volatility we've been having lately, we're adding a lot of value to accounts. And taxes are super, super important, of course, at the end of the day. I enjoy paying my fair share, but not a nickel more. And so there are withdrawal strategies that we map out over the withdrawal period that you have set up for your IRA. And those strategies can save a significant amount of taxes. Mm-hmm. So that's it.
Okay. So our number and our emails are at the bottom of the screen. If you've got a feeling that one of these planning strategies might work for you or make sense for you, or if you just want to learn more about the Secure Act and see how it pertains to you, please do reach out to us. There are no questions today. This is a recording, as it is a pop-up episode, but we will continue to bring you live Coffee with Bob episodes every other Wednesday. So please do look out for that information through emails that we send your way. And thanks for tuning in.
See ya.
Okay. All right, so you can